Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having a great day. Great start to your day. Good to be with you this morning. And as usual, I want to say hello to a few friends as you get your notices. And we'll let a few people say hello. And who's number one on the hit parade here this morning to give us a little wave? Lori Lee from Ventura, California. Good morning, Lori Lee. Mary from Norwich. Nativity, good morning. Karen Kincarden. And Rosa Morial. And Jeanette from our staff. Good morning. Nellie, how is you? Teresa, good morning. Wendy Markham, good morning. And David Ridgway, Ontario. Mo, good morning. And Debraka, Mississauga. Bobby, Kitchener. And Marilyn, Kelowna, British Columbia. Bright and early this morning. Fran from Orangeville, good morning. Nancy, sunny Iowa. Well, it's sunny here too. Cheryl from West Virginia, and I want to sing. Nick, good morning from our staff. Jeanette, bonjour. And Bonnie, how is you? And Guylaine, good morning. Zian, Ottawa. And Donna, Park Hill. Marnie, how are you? Olga, Port Elgin, New Brunswick. And Zian from Thunder Bay. Diane, how are you? And Sue, good morning. Manitoulin Island. Ellen from Scarborough. Robin from Connecticut. Vera from Newfoundland. Catherine from Parksville, British Columbia. Brenda, Campbell River, British Columbia. And Cheryl's singing with us, eh? Jen, good morning. Sheila, how is you? Karen, how are you? Sandy from Washington State. And Stephanie. And Stephanie and Bob. Victor. Rita, French River. Beautiful. Lisa Marie. And Debbie from Sturgeon Falls. Okay, a couple of more. Let's get going. Marla, how are you? Frida, good morning. And Marilyn from Edmonton. Paula, nice to have you on. Marcia, Mexico. Good morning, Mexico. Kevin, there you are. Oshawa, Joanne. And Keith, good morning. Charlene, how is you? And we appreciate you guys so much. Dave from sunny Muskoka. And Jerry, Nouveau Brunswick. Lynn, good morning to you. Jody, how is you? And Judy and Anna, good morning, guys. Okay, let's talk, guys, about a couple of new studies on glucose metabolism, specifically in the brain, okay? Now, here's a new study, PubMed. Glucose metabolism is involved in Parkinson's. Now, if you've been following me for any length of time, you would know that when I talk about Parkinson's, and I've done that quite a bit over the years, I talk about leaky gut. Leaky gut, leaky brain. We spent some time yesterday, didn't we? Talking about leaky gut. And it's really important. Now, again, if you follow the Martin Clinic, we talk about 3 seeds. See those 3 fingers? 3 seeds of disease. I remember Tony Jr. and I sitting together for hours, producing our first podcast. Now, you got to go back several years ago. But we used to sit there and brainstorm. And my son's pretty smart, okay? And And he took out a big board and he would start writing. And one day it came together and we said, look, here's what we know. What is the root cause of all disease? Now, if you talked to a lot of researchers, they would say it's inflammation. Okay? So inflammation is at the root of chronic disease, like Parkinson's, any autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis. They'd say heart disease, yep. And cancer, yes. Alzheimer's, yes. But here's what we said, okay? Inflammation is not Houdini. It's not the first thing. It's the result of, and we named 3 things: leaky gut, high circulating insulin or insulin resistance, and oxidation. Okay? Meaning free radical damage. Oxidation. That's why I talked about aging the other day. And that you and I have a governor on ourselves. Even though you get a brand new body parts, your blood is tainted. And it'll make you age. And eventually you're going to rust out. That is called oxidation. And it is a factor in disease, big time chronic disease. Okay? So anyway, the more they study high circulating insulin, insulin resistance, the more science is discovering that it is a big, big problem. And guys, at the end of the day, insulin resistance is generally food. Think about it. You only use insulin when you eat. Now, here's a couple of studies on glucose metabolism in the brain, okay? And when you have disruption of glucose metabolism, so when a dietitian, God bless them, tells you that you need glucose, you need carbs. And I heard a dietitian yesterday, I think I was listening to an interview, whatever, said, well, you need about 130, 140 grams of carbs a day. And I felt like screaming. No, you don't. Your brain doesn't need sugar. Now, if your brain does, it'll take a piece of steak and make it sugar. Okay? Now, here's what these studies said, and then let's talk about these things for a few minutes. 1, glucose metabolism is involved in Parkinson's. So not only leaky gut, but glucose metabolism. There's a problem with the uptake of glucose, okay, in Parkinson's. And, okay, 3 studies. 1, Parkinson's and glucose. There's a defect in the mechanism of the way your brain uptakes sugar. 1. 2, poor quality of sleep is associated with reduced brain glucose metabolism and reduced gray matter at preclinical stages of Alzheimer's. Okay? So Parkinson's, glucose problem, leaky gut problem. Alzheimer's, listen to what this new study said. Poor quality of sleep is associated with reduced brain glucose. Now look, guys, when you don't sleep, your cortisol goes up. And when your cortisol goes up, you don't sleep. What happens then? Well, one thing we know for sure, if you're not sleeping properly, your self-cleaning oven of your brain, okay, you got a self-cleaning oven up there. It doesn't work. You're not getting rid of debris. Anytime you have a manufacturing plant and it requires energy to run, you're going to have byproduct. You're going to have debris. Same thing with your brain. Your brain needs a lot of energy to operate. It takes 25% of your food because it's headquarters. And it takes it, it doesn't matter what you eat, it's going to take 25% of it. If you eat a crappy diet, your brain says, okay, if that's what you're giving me, I'm going to take it. Okay? And then, but you're going to have a lot of waste product, especially with carbohydrates. They create a lot of waste. Garbage. Okay? The problem is, if you don't sleep properly, that self-cleaning oven in your brain, they're called glial cells. Guys, I'm going to tell you, when I was in school, we didn't even know that existed. We didn't even know it existed. Okay? So when they tell you the science is settled, you know when you hear that, science is settled. Science is never settled. Okay? Nah, you're always investigating. Science is investigative. When you stop investigating, what I know today about the brain even, and what I knew in the 1970s when I thought I was smart. There's no comparison. You got to continue to learn. You got to continue to observe. You got to continue to see new studies and wow, look at this and look at that. And, I was talking to you yesterday about leaky gut and what are we learning? And unfortunately, it hasn't filtered into the medical schools yet. Okay? I don't have 30 years to wait till the medical schools get it. I'm telling you about it now. And you guys know, I tell you, what you guys know is incredible. Okay, so poor quality of sleep is associated with reduced brain glucose metabolism. Big word. Insulin resistance. You don't sleep. You don't detoxify the brain properly. Your glucose metabolism, the uptake of glucose is hindered, and that's not good. And it reduces the size of the gray matter in preclinical stages of Alzheimer's. New study, PubMed. Okay? That's why we want you to have a great sleep. And 70% of the population today don't. They just don't sleep well, and they don't realize over a period of time how destructive that is to the brain. Okay? Now, here's another one. So they all has to do with blood glucose. 1, Parkinson's. 2, Alzheimer's study. And sleep, but sleep affecting blood glucose uptake. Remember remember in 2005, they actually named Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. Remember that? And that was sort of hidden. People forget. 205. And people forget. I don't want you to forget. I bring it up all the time. The one thing you can control is food. Now, third one. Patients with major depression has significant increases in glucose in specific areas of the brain. Okay, let me read that to you again. Patients with major depression. So we talked about Parkinson's, then we talked about Alzheimer's, and now we're talking about major depression. And remember, there's a component to leaky gut with this. There's a component of leaky gut in this. Blood glucose, insulin, and leaky gut. Here's what it says. Patients with major depression have significant increases in glucose, so more sugar in the areas of in specific areas of the brain in major depression. Why do you think I always never talk of moderation, I talk of elimination? If you could only get patients, my goal in practice, because I always started with a foundation. Story. I always tell you a story. Patients, Susie, Linda, Joe, listen. Okay? Not everybody's name was Linda. But I used to tell them, listen, Linda, whether you are a man or a woman. I'm going to say something. You're on the Titanic. Man, I use that 1,000,000 times in my office. Okay, I'm exaggerating. You're on the Titanic. Some of you have already hit the iceberg. We're going to turn this ship around, or I'm going to get you to jump into lifeboats. Problem is the Titanic, true story, didn't have enough lifeboats. Why? Because they thought it was unsinkable. And a lot of people think that way too when it comes to their health. I'm unsinkable. I heard somebody say it yesterday. Who was it? Some speaker. I was listening. He said, I've got good genetics. My dad is 90-something years old, and look at how healthy he is. Yeah, by the grace of God, because you got no guarantee. I don't care if you got an uncle that smoked, drank, and lived till 110. Okay? Believe you me, those are exceptions. There's always exceptions. Okay? So, listen to these studies, guys. Parkinson's. Elimination. No sugar. What? No sugar. Alzheimer's. Elimination. What? No sugars. You're on the Titanic. Okay? Turn down the orchestra music. You're listening to music. You're not listening to the truth. You know what was so wonderful? Well, wonderful. You know what? The Titanic, all day. There were ships. One of them, the Californian, was, in those days, Morse code. Morse code. Hey, you, Titanic, heads up. Major icebergs. Hey, Titanic. And you know what? The guy true story. The guy who was receiving the messages on the Titanic got so sick of it, he actually told the other ship, shut up, and turned off. How arrogant. How arrogant. We're the unsinkable ship, man. The Titanic. You look at it today compared to these, these cruise ships. The Titanic was like a little tugboat compared to the size of these cruise ships today. Okay? But they thought they were unsinkable in 1912. Right? Anyway. So isn't that important, guys? Now listen, okay? Let me give you a little bit of a teaching. Because I think it's important it's not like I've never taught you this before, but it's always good to go over this, okay? Let's talk about the brain, okay? When you have sugar, and the brain takes 25% of it, the problem is your brain is burning the wrong fuel. Okay? It's burning the wrong fuel. It's like, let's stick to the Titanic for a minute. Seawater. You're surrounded by seawater, but you can't drink it. Do you know what I mean by that? I mean, how does anybody become dehydrated if they're on the ocean? Well, the problem is you can't drink salt water. Okay? I want you to put a little bit of salt in your water, but you can't drink salt water. Right? It's the same thing for your brain. When you give your brain crappy carbohydrates and sugars, there's a lot of fuel there, but your brain can't use it properly. It's surrounded like seawater. And that's the problem. I don't know if you get that illustration. You know me, I'm full of illustrations. Seawater, yeah, nice to look at. I love the ocean, by the way. I do. I never get tired of watching the ocean. Never, 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 never. I love it. I love the ocean. You? I love God's creation. I look at the ocean. Oh, isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful. But you don't drink it. You don't drink seawater, right? You don't drink ocean water. It's the same thing for your brain. Your brain loves steak. Your brain loves cholesterol. Cholesterol is only found in the animal kingdom. Your brain thrives because your brain will take that fuel, steak, eggs, meat, cheese. It will take that fuel and burn it as ketones. Your brain loves high octane fuel, not crappy carbs. It really doesn't. And you know what? Like people said, Doc, can you never talk about anything else? Well, I'm a pretty one-track mind. But even in my office, guys, I simplified things. People would leave my office with a plan. And that was food. And, 90-something% of the people that left my office went home for a 30-day program for the reset. They said, no, Doc, I got bad hormones and you're talking about food. Yep. I got inflammation, Doc, and you're talking about food. Yep. I got autoimmune, Doc, and you're talking about food. Yep. You name it. I started with food. Change your fuel. Change your fuel. You're eating 87 octane, and that's all right for your car, but it's not all right for you because your body is meant to eat high octane fuels. Anything else, you're burning the wrong fuel. You are a jet. You need jet fuel. If you want your body to respond, your brain can't take in seawater. Do you know what I'm saying by that? The illustration? Your brain might be surrounded by fuel, but if it's bad fuel, you're messing up. So this morning we read about Parkinson's, which is autoimmune. They never used to classify Parkinson's as autoimmune. It's autoimmune. I've been saying it for how many years? Oh yeah, doc, but you got mercury in the brain. I know, but how did it get there? Or you got heavy metals in the brain. I know, but that wasn't the first step. Your gut was. And insulin is. You're burning the wrong fuel in your brain. Your brain needs high-octane 99% jet fuel if you want it to work properly. And really, scientists, a lot of them, have been screaming about that, but it's hard to change a leper spots, guys. It's hard to change medicine. It's hard to change. When medicine is focused in on a drug, they're not looking at the cause so much. So in 205, when they said, researchers, they were smart. They said, man, it looks like glucose, like the brain is diabetic in Alzheimer's. You might not have diabetes anywhere else, but the brain is diabetic. Type 3 diabetes. And I'm not saying it was completely dismissed, but guys like me, well, I had a radio show. I was reading. I was studying. I was in practice, and I was interested. But, I used to talk to doctors, and it was like I had two heads when I said that. Even today, here we are in 2023. How about let's change the diet? And by the time somebody gets Alzheimer's, and they already have it and it's advanced, but if you look at Alzheimer's and the treatment of it, it's been going on for quite a few years. Medical treatment. You know what? It's been a colossal failure. Really, if the pharmaceutical companies were in school, they would have flunked out, and they would have been kicked out of school. You can't be in here. Like, you're not smart. Like, I'm telling you. Colossal failure. There's been no real advancement in Alzheimer's and the treatment of it. They're looking for love in all the wrong places. And you get studies like this, and it's PubMed. That means you can read it. Anybody can read it. And nothing happens. You're dismissed when you talk about something simple like, maybe we ought to eliminate sugar in our diets. And then you get dietitians, don't do that. Your brain needs glucose. Oh. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. The brain is overfed and undernourished. It's surrounded by the wrong fuel. Think of that ocean. And you're surrounded by water, but you can't drink it. Your brain can't take it. That's the bottom line of these studies. And of course, sleep. The sleep's important. Sun, steak, and steel, and sleep. I got sleep in brackets because I got a whole chapter on sleep. It's important. And of course, if you don't eat well, okay? Remember, I wrote a book years ago, Two hormones that want you dead. Cortisol and insulin, and they often go together. Cortisol. But if you have a crappy diet, that's hard on the adrenal glands. Your body is, and it's hard on the hypothalamus in your brain where those hormones are navigated. That's why even if you got a thyroid problem, listen to me, Linda. Start with your diet. Doc, what's the connection? Your brain. Where do you think the headquarters is for your hormones? Brain. That's headquarters. Yeah, but my thyroid, I know, but headquarters tells your thyroid what to do. Your thyroid, it don't do nothing without your brain. Okay? And guys, like I said, 2 areas of the brain. Don't worry about anything else. The only time I'll ever test you, I'll ask you about 2 areas of the brain. Your hypothalamus, hormones. Hippocampus, memory. Okay? And if I ask you about a 3rd area of your brain, you don't have to answer it because you got 100% if you get the first 2. Your brain is complex, but there's 2 areas. And fuel is so important for your brain, especially your brain. Fuel. Your body is unreal, guys. You give it crappy food, it will still operate. It will still operate, but not well. And eventually, you're going to pay the piper. You're going to pay the piper. Interesting, those 3 studies, huh? Parkinson's, glucose. Do something about it. Alzheimer's, just doubling down with sleep and debris and detoxification. Remember your brain. It's got a self-cleaning oven. I love it. I love it. But not if you don't sleep. And let me just say this. I say it all the time, but I'm going to say it again. If you're taking a sleeping pill to sleep, you're not sleeping. You're not detoxifying. You're not turning on the self-cleaning oven. You're not. Don't fool yourself. Doc, if I don't take it, I don't sleep. You're not sleeping. You're sedated. 2 big, huge difference. Well, I feel like I'm sleeping. I know. You ever go for an operation? Did you sleep through it? I hope so. But you weren't sleeping. You were sedated. And when you get up from an operation, you don't get up and go, holy moly, that was the best sleep I've ever had. I wish I could get sedated every day. You know, give me the mask or give me a needle. You don't do that because you get up and you, holy, like, what did they do to me? Guys, that's sedation. That ain't sleeping. You ever get knocked out? You know, you get up and go, I wish someone would punch me in the head every night and I could sleep. You're not sleeping. You're sedated. Okay? There's a big difference. I've been telling my patients that for 50 years. 50 years. I've been screaming about sleeping pills. Okay? 50 years. I said, you wait and see the long-term effects of that. And now they're established. You talk about especially the memory center of the brain. It's affected by those things. Why? Because your glial cells, your lymphatic system, your self-cleaning oven was never turned on when you were sedated. See the difference, guys? I know I sound like radical, but guys, it's the truth. It's the truth. Okay, and it's Brahim. Is it your birthday? Kevin's saying that. Okay, well, hello, Brahim. I didn't even see your name there. From Portland, Oregon. Dear friend to this program. And Kevin, I don't know, I'm missing you all the time, but I saw you the last minute this morning. Guys, okay, Friday is coming. Question and answer Friday. Okay? Question and answer Friday. Get your questions in. Someone said yesterday, I've been waiting patiently for Dr. Martin. I thought I answered it, but I guess maybe I didn't. Sometimes I miss things, okay? But I don't mean to. Okay? My heart, my conscience is clear. I never mean to miss questions, but sometimes I go through them and I get on rabbit trails and I forget. Guys, what would we do without you? I was looking at Facebook today, okay, where we do our podcast. 82,000 followers and change. Almost 1.5 million downloads of our podcast that Doctor is in. Guys, that's you. That's not me. That's you. Okay? We appreciate that. Share this, guys. Tell them. This is important information. You guys know it. Okay? You guys know it. Okay. Love you. Talk to you soon.